Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Patterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
Diane Corey, does she want to read me open reading? Yes, she does. Okay. Diane, come on up. John, one thing I'm going to ask you to do is figure out how to put another step over there before I break my neck. Okay? And a railing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
Because that is tough. I'm so tired now. You're getting exercise.
I guess I wait. Yeah. Am I? Okay, shall I start? Okay.
All right, could everybody listen? Diane is going to read.
In plain sight. We bury so much of the magic of life, the delicate look in a child's eyes, beseeching us, seeking kindness, gentleness, the outstretched hand wanting to touch. Life elsewhere is less our concern. Rather, the ruins of history and the stories the stones tell intrigue us, pull us close. We bring ourselves to lands where we would not choose to live, carry camera gear worth more than those of that land earn in a year or a lifetime. I cannot unsee two boys, the clean, smiling child inserting himself into photos, the camera holders shifting to rid him from their sight, the filthy one, eyes covered with flies, begging, then slapped in the head by a vendor nearly as filthy. I cannot unsee these little boys. I cannot unsee two men, both beggars, one young and beautiful-faced, clad in gray suit, white shirt, smiling up at the Americans, only one looking back, seeing his lack of legs, his body sitting flat on the pavement. The other man dirty, toothless, with vulture eyes, clawed hands stretched, the voice crying for baksheesh, his one leg spread out in front of him. I cannot unsee these two men. We bury the delicate magic and sacredness of life of some, and these I cannot unsee, but I did see, and I do remember.
Eileen Van Hook.
The Weaver. My father's hands pitched his way to high school fame and my mother's attention. My father's hands took my mother's hands in marriage. And despite reservations about his return from war, my father's hands carried a wounded comrade under fire to safety and a future. My father's hands wove cloth and dreams until machines rendered him obsolete. My father's hands supported our family as a security guard, checking locks and IDs while wondering about his own. My father's hands blistered from digging graves to dress our hands in lace-trimmed gloves and baseball mitts. My father's hands directed traffic at the mall, producing a magical Christmas at home. My father's hands finessed fly rods with the grace of an artist, dazzling rainbow trout with dancing flies. My father's hands tickled his grandchildren till they cried and were warned not to sit near him. My father's hands raised 5 children, scores of animals, and for a time too many drinks to his lips. My father's hands, trembling with Alzheimer's, picked at his clothing as though trying to unravel the flawed fabric of his life.
Deborah Garish.
Okay.
This is called Dodge Poetry Festival Glimpses. Thrown out of poetry heaven, 6 p.m. on a Sunday in October, the pearl gate of NJ Pack padlocked, bright lights diminish into darkness. Reflections of posters of Gillen, Collins, and Howe in the window glass of the Cathedral of Arts. Empty book tables, volumes of luminaries sold out. I dig my feet into the silences. Angels abandon their posts, drift through parking lots away from the brick city, slow to arrive home. I dig my feet into the rich soil of giving voices, mask and craft, poetry and jazz, song and silences. I listen for God's singers on YouTube, dig my feet into the working life. I love this earth with its pastries and plenitudes. As I lift my eyes, I dig my feet into the kingdom of poetry where the tarmac turns to peacock feathers and the heartstones to pearl. Thank you.
Terry Moss. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep skipping you. Terry, just wait a minute. I skipped Ann once again. It's because it's crossed out. Ann DiVincenzo. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else, I would feel slighted, but Maria Gillen has done more for me as a poet than anybody could have. So she started me on this road maybe 16, 17 years ago, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you.
More than 16 or 17, I hate to say it, but more than 16 or 17 years ago.
I fudged a bit. Now, I don't know if you were here earlier, and I read a poem entitled To Be, and then this issue 35, which is free now. Also, I was pleased to be published at least in 10 or 12 of these, so I'm just honored. This is a prequel to the To Be, right? My husband and I are married 55 years, and this poem is called The Last College Dance. You, standing tall next to me at the Biltmore, with your clear blue Irish eyes and jet hair, in black tuxedo and black bow tie, sharp white shirt at collar and linked cuffs. At the senior ball, I twinkled by your side with my shining brown Italian eyes, rhinestone gypsy earrings and necklace, ballerina slippers, gown of light blue satin and tulle. I still feel your strong arm circling my waist, your hand on my shoulder searing bare skin. I see your name in my dance card, inscribed with a short white pencil hanging from green tassel. You said I could see straight into you, but I would be too good and sweet. I often wonder what would have been if you had not known more than I did. After your attention wandered to a different girl, the pots and pans I got with green stamps to use on our stove held another man's meals, my entire heart and hope chest, his treasure.
Terry Moss. Terry Moss, is she here? No, okay. Pat Hardigree? I'm here.
It's a great day. It's a great day. I'll read one that was in the 2012 Allen Ginsberg Poetry Awards for honorable mention. And it's called Anita Recites. And Anita was a friend of mine. And she was about this high. And she was so annoying in so many ways. She was a little older. She was a little older than I was. But I find as time goes by, I'm getting more and more like her. So, but I loved Anita. I still do. Anita Recites. Toward the end, Anita recited endlessly stories from her youth, how her mother made ricotta cheese and mozzarella, rolled her own pasta, bought olive oil from Italy. The gravy stayed on the stove overnight, and huge pans of lasagna and meatballs were served on their long wooden table. Her mother developed a hernia, always wore a girdle. On rainy days, she lay in her four-poster bed on her side, holding her stomach, crying with pain. She would never go to a hospital, for she would surely die there. But on a Tuesday night, an ambulance brought her to Mercy, where she passed away. Anita stayed up all night, as if to avoid the angel of death. She said he only came then. I did not contradict her, for I know about spirits and visitations. She collapsed one evening, spent 3 days on her living room floor until a friend came and called 911. She fell into a coma, was sent to Riverview by the Delaware, where she passed quietly in the night. Her body old and ravaged, she was buried in a white dress with a veil, for Anita was a virtuous woman, always complaining, but a good cook and very kind.
Napoleon Zinkovic.
Thank you. Where'd everybody go? My name is Napoleon Nikolai Zivkovic, or Zivkovic. I'm at the end. And very briefly, I have an announcement. An associate of mine, Jim Jarmusch, is a filmmaker. He's going to be at the Anthology Film Archives on Tuesday, November 18th. There is a brand new documentary of William S. Burroughs, and he's going to be at the screening. So I'm definitely going to be there. Other news. This is recent. It's from 3 years ago. It's a biography of Nile Rodgers of Chic. And I just like the quote here. It's the prologue's called The Theory of Relativity, and it's a very brief, anonymous, unknown quote. Life isn't about surviving the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. That's it. Now, I'm going to read, ladies first, Annette Krizinich, who is not here, and this is a poem on page 161 of the brand new literary review. It's called Stupid. "You're so stupid," Dad said, when I told him I couldn't find the wrench he wanted in the garage. I was in middle school then. When I was in college, I asked him what the Scotland Yard was, and he called me stupid, even though I never read British mysteries. He grew up poor, never went to college. He worked at the Jefferson Assembly Plant in Detroit, drove 30 miles each way from our suburban house, had to get up at 5 a.m. He loved Shakespeare and Thoreau, listened to classical music all day as he welded K-cars. Once his foreman had told him he wasn't allowed to listen to the radio for safety reasons. He hid the earpieces under his heavy earmuffs so nobody could see them. He knew all the composers and the pieces they wrote. He knew how to invest money. I could never be as smart as he was. I didn't even like classical music. "You're so stupid." The words still sound in my ears when I miss a turn or a deadline. "You're so stupid," when I realize I'm 41 with no secure future. Now he tells me he didn't mean it. He called me stupid the way he and his friends said it to each other in downtown Detroit. Kids playing catch in the street. I don't know how to forgive him, but I'm trying. Yesterday he told me he was always proud of me. I wish back then I had known.
Elisa Gordon.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for this lovely day. I had the pleasure to read here for the water-themed journal that came out earlier this year. That was an honor for me. Buechler Park. The sensory garden was my favorite. You could stroll narrow paths where every manner of scent could be had just by rolling a leaf between thumb and forefinger. The shapes of familiar herbs produced unexpected essence, mint, cinnamon, citrus. It was the lamb's ear that did me in. Long, silvery, and curved to a point like the old farmers use, downy on my fingertips. More than 20 years later, when I drove the hills of rural England, saw the sheep on hillsides framed by heather, lambs kicked up their heels as they ran towards their mothers. How I longed to run, arms outstretched like a child, just to see how they compared. Brand new ear and wondrous leaf. Thank you.
And now there's Rochelle. Why is there a question mark? What?
Waking and knowing. Purple, orange, yellow swirl around me, my gone cat running fallow fields, fast, faster, fastest, chased by rainbows. In a Ridwell, I carry a baby, my co-worker's boy, over the darkness into astral flight, floating life to life, wearing natty wigs, throw rugs of clouds under their feet. Both my grandmothers sit and watch, holding up nines. I'm waved in, landing on sheets, back from somewhere my heart knows of the pitfalls and the rich soils.
Janet Alric. You're all the way in the back.
It's so crowded today. I was looking to find a seat. I brought what I call a post-Halloween poem. I wrote this actually last year, and it was too late to read it in December, so I'm bringing it back here. Morning after Halloween, MOURNING. Carcasses of pumpkins strewn on the streets, hollow shells like human skulls, incomplete. Memories of celebrations and feasts, void of meaning, yet consumed by defeat. Life of joy and delusion, all too fleet. Sense of failure as well as disbelief. Haunted by regret and bittersweet grief. Thank you.